right, we are officially live. I'm joined by a good friend of mine, a guy that's been on the show in the past, Reagan Griffin Jr. How you doing, Reagan, man?
I'm doing great. It's another beautiful day in Southern California, man. I know you out there in the East Coast, so it's starting to get fall where you're at. I'm still living in the summer, bro.
Yeah. No doubt, no doubt. So, Reagan, you've been on the show in the past. Obviously, you've got the Reagan Griffin Jr. show going, all that great stuff. But tell people a little bit about yourself. Maybe give us a fun fact about Reagan Griffin Jr. that the people may not know. Obviously, the last couple of times that you were on the show, you were on via phone. Now people get to see your face. So,
Yeah, man.
just tell people a little bit about yourself.
Hopefully they're not too disappointed by my face, man. Playing with you. No, man. Grew up in a lot of different places. I was born in New Jersey, moved to Kennesaw, Georgia, 45 minutes outside of Atlanta. From there, moved to Apple Valley, California, which is kind of like in the high desert, Victorville, Barstow area of California. My sister went to UCLA. I moved from there to Memphis. Then I moved from Memphis back out to Southern California for college. I go to USC. Fun facts: I played football, basketball, track and field growing up. That's kind of how I found my way into this industry. Is just knowing, having a voice, and also having a passion for sports. I was all right at track, man. Back when I was 12, this is my claim to fame. When I was 12, I was third in the nation when it came to the 80-meter hurdles. There's your fun fact, but I don't know. I'm not that interesting of a dude, man. You're gonna have to kind of look me up and see what I do to get the whole spiel going. I got podcasts, shows. I try to stay busy. I do writing on the side, all that good stuff. You can see me in the Undefeated, a letter to my white friends, and then I had a piece in there about my hair and what that means to me and why people shouldn't ask me to cut all that off. So yeah, a lot of interesting stuff going on my end, man.
Gotcha. Well, Reagan, the last time you were on the show, you were talking about the Philadelphia Eagles. We talked about the Philadelphia Eagles. That was one time when you were on the show. The last time you were actually on the show, we talked some NBA. But the first time we talked about the Eagles, and I told you the Washington football team was going to beat the Eagles in week number 1, and you kind of said, "Nah, can't see it." Well, Reagan, before we get into some NFL topics, we'll talk a little bit of Lakers basketball because you are a Lakers fan. I need an apology to the Washington football team from Reagan Griffin Jr. because you were wrong about that, man. I don't like to toot my horn too much, and I really don't. But I said in the offseason that Washington was the most underrated team in all of football. I had them winning about 7 games this year. A lot of people had them going 3-13, maybe 4-12. I said 7 wins. A lot of people called me crazy. There's a possibility I could be wrong, but I think that they're trending on the right direction. So, Reagan, I need your apology to the Washington football team. Yeah, I need that apology, man.
Man, you bringing the receipts on me already? I can't even get 10 minutes into the show. No, yeah, you did say that to me, and I remember I shot that down wholeheartedly. I think I might have laughed, bro. I shot that down pretty quickly, but I will say this, right? And all credit due to the Washington football team for what the product that they put on the field. I definitely underestimated the talent that they had. All hats off to Ron Rivera for what he's doing right now. The dude's, going through a difficult time. I can't imagine or speak to what it is to go through something as difficult as what he's going through. But the dude is coaching through it and persevering. That's extremely admirable. So hats off to the Washington Redskins, or excuse me, Washington football team. Still trying to break that habit. But I will say this in defense of my football team. They have possibly the worst injury luck in the NFL, man. Possibly the worst injury luck in the NFL ever since 2017. Even that year where they won the Super Bowl, you had Darren Sproles, you had Jason Peters, you had Jordan Hicks. So many starting players that meant a lot to the team were injured. Ever since that year, it's just been year in and year out. We saw it at the end of last season. Carson Wentz is playing with Boston Scott and Greg Ward. And at the beginning of this season, man, no Austin or no age or who's the left tackle?
Andre Dillard.
Yeah, Andre Dillard. Yeah, thank you. No Dillard. He's out for the season, so you got to shift Peters over to left tackle now. You have 2 guards who really haven't even played NFL snaps, Nate Herbig and Matt Pryor, who's not all that good. So Carson Wentz is he's under fire, man. So you go into that Washington that situation. You got Chase Young and Ryan Kerrigan breathing down your throat. That's not a good situation for Carson Wentz to be in, and obviously, he did not have a good game at all. That was the first time throughout his career where I could point to him and say, "You're the reason that the Philadelphia Eagles lost this game." And that hurt. But I do think that it's going to persevere. I think they're going to get through it. But if you want a formal apology, man, here it is. I apologize for doubting that Washington team, man. They got a little bit more juice than I thought they would.
Yeah. I just wanted to kind of talk about them a little bit more. Do you think that their team is on the rise? I'm a big Dwayne Haskins fan. You know this. I would kind of say this probably is his rookie season just because last year he was thrown into the fire, playing for a coach that did not want to draft him, playing behind a bad offensive line, not a whole lot of weapons around him. It's funny, he dropped in the draft. He went to a dysfunctional team. You think when you drop in the draft, you go to a pretty good team, but he kind of, dropped to a team that wasn't all that great. So I'm kind of just saying I want to see a full 16 games from Dwayne Haskins. And usually when I'm evaluating a young quarterback, especially if they're on a bad team, I give them about 3 years just because, rookie year, okay, all the success is house money. Second year, want to see improvement. Third year, give me a final product. Okay, but yeah, Haskins, kind of wait and see with him. But that defense, there's something to hang your hat on right there, man. Chase Young, Montez Sweat, Deron Payne, Ryan Kerrigan. Secondary is a little bit of a question. They could add some pieces to their linebacker core, but Ron Rivera, I think that he's a pretty good coach. We're going to talk about top 10 head coaches pretty shortly, but I think that he's a top 10 head coach. And I think that if you're a Washington fan, you should at least be calmly optimistic.
I agree with you, man. They definitely have the pieces, right? Another guy you didn't mention, Landon Collins, is a guy that I very much like and a guy that I'm familiar with being an NFC East. My team's in the NFC East. We had to face him 2 times a year. I was hoping he left the Giants, right, and I wouldn't have to worry about that dude anymore. Lo and behold, the dude ends up in Washington. So we still got to concern ourselves with his talent, man. But I agree with you. Another guy, Jonathan Allen, very talented. And what they're doing right now in Washington is, I always feel like the best way to build a football team is in the trenches and then build out from there. You get your quarterback, you get an offensive and defensive line, and then you worry about the other stuff later. And that seems like what they're doing. You got Chase Young, you got Allen, you got Montez Sweat, you got a lot of young, talented pass rushers. Then on the offensive end, you have Brandon Sheriff. They're still kind of working on the offensive line, but it's getting there, right? So I do see a future for this team. And if there's anyone, like you said, that can kind of right the ship and direct things and be a leader of these young guys, it's Ron Rivera. The dude's definitely proved himself to be that guy at this point. So I'm with you, man. I'll buy the stock. I'll buy the stock on Washington right now.
Got it. Okay. Thank you so much for watching this video today. Please also note that the Juice Alert Sports Podcast is not just a YouTube channel. It is available on all podcasting platforms, including Spotify, Google Podcasts, iTunes, and Apple Podcasts. Also, if you enjoyed this video, be sure to like, comment, subscribe, and share this content with all your friends. This podcast is my favorite thing in the entire world right now. It is my passion. And I want more people to listen to this podcast. I really want this podcast to grow. Also, a fun fact about me is that I want to go into the sports broadcasting and media world once I graduate from the University of Toledo, a college in Northern Ohio. I am looking to become one of the next great sports broadcasters and analysts out in the world. And I potentially would like to start my own network if this podcast really truly grows. Or if I fall short of that goal, I would love to work for a big time network like ESPN or Fox Sports 1. I am open to all networks. So if you believe in my dreams and you see or hear my passion through the screen, be sure to tell all your friends about the Juice Alert Sports Podcast. Stay motivated, you guys. Have a God bless day, and I'm out.